Welcome back to the show, guys. Today we have a special guest. This man, his acolytes are just so much to write down, dude. I couldn't write all of them down, but he's been in the fight world for a very, very long time. This man is a UFC veteran. The first time I saw him was on UFC 5. I'm not sure if he had a fight before that, but that's just when... Was it 4 or 5, actually?
5.
It was 5,
the first
right?
one. Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I got that one off the top, dude.
Man, good.
UFC 5, he's right here from Santa Ana, local. First American on the Carlson Gracie team. He has his own school, fight school called Todd Medina Fight School out in Huntington Beach. And aside from his whole, like, I could sit here and say all these fights he's had. I mean, he's fought Vanderlei, he's fought the who's who, you know, from back in the day. But the thing that I'm kind of more drawn towards as of late has been his acts of altruism. He's out here, he's got these foundations, Feed the Children, Champion Factory Ministry. I mean, these are two very, very good foundations, in my opinion. You know, he's out there feeding the needy, fighting chicks that have gone, or fighting assailants of sex assault victims. He's just out here just living the life of a superhero, pretty much, dude.
Bro, Mo, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity on the real.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to this. First and foremost, I want to thank Jesus for this opportunity. I want to give him all the glory, what he's pulled me from, what he's taken me to. He can, if he's done it for me, for sure he can do it for you. But every time somebody puts a mic in front of my face, and I told him that from when he started giving me opportunities to speak and things like that, I would always praise him and give him the honor before I did everything. So give Jesus the honor, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. But yeah, welcome to the show, El Tiburon, Todd Medina.
Hey, man, let's get it. Let's get it.
Todd Medina, bro. Do you have a new nickname for like the mystery stuff, or do you just still go with the same one?
I'm waiting. No, somebody hasn't. I mean, other that's in the fight world, how we are.
Yeah.
Call me that, but I haven't got a new one yet. So we'll see what happens. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure something's going to pop off like it kind of already has. But in that industry, there's not too many nicknames.
Oh,
But
okay.
we'll figure it out as it goes.
I feel like we should give you one, man. It's like a new life, new Todd, bro.
For real. For real, Mo. It's I can't believe from what going no rules fighting to, you know, other kind of MMA, boxing, all that kind of stuff, to being in the ministry like it is. It's so weird, because we were just talking a minute ago. What do you do when you get done with no rules fighting?
Yeah.
I'm not comparing myself, but like guys that come back from the war, like when you come back from the war, like what do you do for work? Like, you know, being in no rules fighting for so long, and it's changed so much. Like, oh, what do you do? And then this happened. Like, oh, you're in Mexico, you're in another country, saving little kids, feeding little kids. I'm like, let's get it.
Yeah. How did you even get started? I mean, because I've watched you like in the past 2 interviews, and it seems like you've been into like the church for a long time, but it seems like as of late you've been really, really into it.
All in. So I don't know how many people in here are like really believers or like real close to the Lord. But a couple years back ago, I went down to a church, and there's a prophet, like from the Bible. He'd tell you, like, you know, essentially what happened. Like, he could to tell you your mail, what's happened to you in the past, but more importantly, like what will happen to you in the future. And I went to this church, never been there before, really didn't know anybody. And he called me up on stage and just started reading my mail, told me things that happened in the past. I was like, what? First time I experienced anything like that. And then, like I said, more importantly, he told me what was going to happen in the future. So all these cool things were going to happen, but he just filled me up with the Holy Spirit. That's like, it's an amazing feeling if you haven't felt it already. But he filled me up with the Holy Spirit. And since, I've just been like on fire for the Lord. And for years, I've been praying like, Lord, let me do anti-sex trafficking. And I've been praying this for like 10 plus years. And no. I'm like, okay. I mean, I figured because of the fight background, there'd be people who'd pick me up real easy and we could get it done. But he kept having me travel around the world. Like when I'd finish a fight, he'd send me to another country or something like that to learn from these guys. Like, how do you protect people driving a car? How do you take a gun away from somebody? How do you keep a gun from somebody? Like all this crazy stuff. In the back of my mind, I'm like, so how's this going to help me in a cage, you know, from fighting? But I just kept going from country to country and learning all this stuff from military and all these professionals. And lo and behold, I wanted to do anti-sex trafficking and that kind of stuff. He opened up some doors in Mexico for me to take clothes and food, just small stuff like that one, just to see if I'd be obedient and listen to him. I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And I remember I was talking about this morning. The first time I had 2 trash bags full of clothes. I was like, man, I'm balling. We're doing it now, you know, thinking that was big stuff. And now it's like my the ministry's blessed me with is like 2 years old, but we're able to help other ministries that have been around forever. We help orphanages in Mexico, Philippines, refugees, like all over the world. These things are just going all over. And I mean, I have no idea how it happened like that because we're the newest one on the block, but we're helping so many different organizations, orphanages, kids, parents. It's just bananas. But by doing that, I just grow closer and closer to God every single day. And it's just it's a really amazing feeling. It's an awesome opportunity. I'm blessed to be able to do this. And those of you, like Mo was cool enough to talk about this earlier. He's like, hey, so like, you want to talk about something more than the other or whatever? But I could talk about God all day long. So, but I respect that and I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I talk about whatever you want, man. Mike is yours.
It's
I'm
just
just
so
here
good.
on the journey that you want to, portray,
It's just, this is so cool to me, like to where, because you have ballers on here, man. You guys are guys that like can fight.
Dude, some of these young bloods, bro, are getting up there, dude. I'm 100% sure that I've interviewed someone that's going to make it in the UFC one day,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
some world champions sitting on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I try, man. Thank you.
I was like so impressed with that, Mo. Like, and here's another thing too. You watch in 6 months, let alone a year, where Mo is with this podcast and what he's doing in the sport. Like you're very articulate. You know the sport obviously very well. You could commentate for boxing. You could commentate for grappling tournaments, MMA. You could do a lot. And then with your podcast. So big things will happen for you in the very near future.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Todd. It means a lot coming from you, man.
It's gonna, because I've been all over the planet, like on so many stages and behind the scenes and all this stuff. But you have what it takes.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like we were talking about tattoos, like I'm the first one with the Carson Gracie Bulldogs. I just want blasting them on my chest real big. Back in the day we were talking about, but he's got the spider tattoo on his face.
Got to represent your people, man.
And if my point with that thing is, if you're going to go big,
yes,
and he did. So like things will open, things will happen for you because you're willing to step into it.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Gotta be fearless, bro.
Yeah. Right.
Then that's like what you're doing with all your whole foundations and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Man, so I saw on an interview that I think around July or June, you were out in Mexico and you confronted some kidnappers or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that story.
What's the story behind that, man?
As much as I can tell, and sometimes you'll see some guys on TV, there's only less than a handful that are talking about a story, but they leave bits and pieces out because they can't really throw it all out there. But we were moving a mother and her daughters. It was an anti-sex trafficking thing. We had to move them across Mexico. There were specific times and dates and places we could go and not go and move them. But in the process of that, somebody didn't really want me doing what I was doing. And I just bought this brand new truck. It was 3 weeks old. Hit my truck going over 100 miles an hour because they didn't want us to go.
That's crazy.
And it just destroyed the truck. But the crazy thing is nobody got injured. Not one person got injured. So I say this too. So thank you, Toyota, because you make a truck like no other.
Shout out Toyota.
Toyota, let's go. And I paid for all my trucks. But thank you, Toyota. Thank you for the angels that were protecting me that day. But like I tell people, like they were trying to sell me trucks after this and this and that. I'm like, whatever truck you sell me or what I have to have has to be 100% guaranteed, because when I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I got these little kids, I gotta move quickly. It's got to start. It's got to move. It's got to do, like get hit by other cars and still be able to move. So yeah, let's go Toyota. But no, so we're out in the middle of the desert. Like I didn't even know Mexico had deserts like this. And I'll send you a picture of this or a couple of them. But yeah, they hit me going over 100 and just destroyed the truck.
Did you have the family with you?
Yeah, they were in the car.
No one got hurt.
Nobody got hurt.
Dude, that's crazy.
Like Mo, it's a God story, because nobody should have walked out of that.
Yeah.
Like for sure, everybody should have been killed. The story it gets it more in depth, but in and of itself, we got out where everybody got out. The girls, and if you're late to that appointment to legally get across, then you don't have any appointment anymore. You have to start from scratch, and that could be up to a year again to get back through legally. So the mom and the girls were able to. This angel of a man showed up. This is a crazy story, because if you don't believe, it's hard to wrap your head around this story. So we're in the middle of the desert. This guy hits me going over 100, destroys the car. Next thing you know, I've got this this official shows up, but he's young. He's like 24. It's so crazy. And he gets the girls a car, stops it in the middle of the desert, and gets them to their destination. Like, bro, how does that work? And so they made it 15 minutes before they were supposed to for their appointment. And we were still like 5 hours away before they were, or from where they were supposed to be. So I'm out in the desert with a bunch of bad guys. And I'm like, bro, my days are numbered.
Yeah, definitely. Was that official? So he was like a cop or something, or?
Yeah, no, he worked for the government.
Oh,
just randomly just showed up.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And I'm like sweating it. I'm like sweat, because you can't do anything sideways down there before. You're either going to get shot, beat up and left for dead, in prison. But it's all either whatever one you take, it's not good.
You don't even know if the cops are like gonna help you sometimes.
Yeah, no, those jokers are like on, they
could be on the payroll too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying without saying it. So the girls get to go. Now I'm out in the middle of the desert by myself. I'm like, oh, this is, like I'm not making it home. But this gentleman, he's like, I got you. I'm like, bro, these guys want to shoot me out here in the middle of the desert, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing. And at the time when it very first happened, I'm praying, I'm like, Lord, do I take these little girls and their mom and just hike it through the desert and get to where I'm like, that's not going to go anywhere. And like, these things only go so far, they're just going to shoot you. But anyway, like I said, the girls got to go where they needed to go. This guy's like, I got you. And these guys, everybody else wanted to just kill me. It was so crazy. And my main thing was, this kid's only like 24, 26, and everybody else was like 30, 40, and just heated. It's like, I got you. Like, wow. So he stops a big, like an NFL team bus. Mm-hmm. And again, we're in the middle of the desert.
NFL team bus?
Yeah, it's brand new. It's brand new, bro. It's brand new, bro. So he stops it, and there's nobody in it. And he's like, yeah, I need you to take, I'm paraphrasing, like, I need you to take my boy to the border and get him out here. And that was like 5 hours the other way. And he's like, okay, grab your bags, boom, 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 beat it. And I'm like, what? So he puts me in this big NFL team bus, all leather, air conditioned, brand new. I'm like, and nobody in it. He's like, he's got you. He's going to take you where you need to go. I'm like, bro. And so he took me. I left my truck. My truck's destroyed. And he ended up taking me to the border. And once when I was out there was only like 3 people I could message at the time. My phone wouldn't work for anybody else. It was really strange. So I sent that message out with a couple of pictures. I'm like, this is what happened. I don't know if I'm going to make it home, but I'm in the middle of the desert in Mexico. So if you don't, you know what I'm doing, kind of thing. And then from then on, those were like prayer warriors. That went out like crazy. And so I could just feel like the prayers and the angels. It was a very surreal God story. Like if you weren't a believer in God, and you went through all that or saw it or experienced it, then you were afterwards. Because when you see the truck and what happened, none of that should have happened. Or I shouldn't have made it back. The girls shouldn't have made it back. And that family's safe and secure here in the States because they were running from the bad guys down there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was that your first time like going out and extracting someone like that?
At that scale, yes.
That sounds crazy.
Because like you see these stories, and I honor the men that go to like that, go to other countries, and you're moving kids around or getting them out of bad situations, and they'll fly into another country, and they've got their firearms and stuff, and they can do what they need to do, whether it's taking somebody out or whatever, and they get the principal, they get the kid, the child, and they leave. I don't get that opportunity because I'm in Mexico so much. I can't go down there. I mean, I could, but I can't go down there kicking in doors and shooting on people in this because I got to be down there like the next day or the next week. So they're going to be like, hey, it's you again. Let's handle this. So I just got to move different than everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like how we know, like the fight world, you can do it, but you can't do it because if you go down there putting hands on people, then they got guns because I can't take a gun.
Or a knife or something.
Yeah, I can't.
So many things.
It's like I take a knife to a gunfight, and there's 50 of those guys and me with a knife. So there's a lot of prayer that goes into this situation before I go down there. And I got people praying for me before I go, while I'm out there, and on the way back home. So that's because I've had other situations where I've fallen into that I shouldn't have come out of, or people are like, there's no way, you should have gotten into out of that situation or whatever. But I just have to move different than everybody else because I don't have firearms. But I haven't seen anybody yet that moves how we do with this ministry because it's like all God based. Like God put everything together for this, opened up every door. I didn't do anything other than just being obedient to it. But yeah, I've done other things. Yeah.
Dude, that sounds like the sound of freedom, but in real life, bro. Honestly, dog.
That accident happened like whatever, maybe a week or two before, a week or two after that movie came out.
Yeah.
And it just exploded, like everything just exploded at the same time. I'm like, wow, that was crazy.
Bro, you should talk to someone about like getting a film crew and like recording like these little adventures. I'm sure you can make some money and put it towards like, bringing more people,
Yeah. Here's the thing. And I've been doing this for 2 years, and like how much of this I can share, but every family, because I work with the orphanages in the refugee camp, but every either child or family I work with, deal with, feed, clothe, whatever, every single one has a war story. They're not down there and trying to get across because they just don't like Mexico. Like there's some serious, like very, very violent stories behind every single person I deal with. So I want to go down there and kind of something like this, interview the child. Well, I can't do it with the child, but the family or whatever, and tell them the story of why they need to cross or what happened. Because these stories are just, you can't even wrap your head around. So I'm in that process right now. So that's where you would say that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, whenever you get it started, let me know, dude. I'll like post it and stuff,
Okay,
show
thank
love,
you, Mo.
dude.
Yeah,
if you ever need help editing or whatever, dude, I got you.
You're an answered prayer right now. So that's the thing. I can shoot it, right? Maybe get a shot, but I don't know how to edit or whatever.
Dude, you came to the right house, dog.
Oh, bro. You see, here you go. Mo, in a year, this could turn into something.
Yeah, hopefully, dude. I mean, that just sounds like incredible stories that need to be heard, dude. Honestly, especially too, because the climate right now with immigration, it's like the consensus is that like I don't know if it's the Trump thing or whatever. I'm not going to put it on a party or anything, but the consensus is like they're coming over because they just want something easier and stuff. I'm sure there's people that are like that, but I think the majority is like, it's just people that want a better life, bro. You know what I mean? I think, was it Trump that said it was like drug addicts and gang members or something, right? A few years ago?
There's a ton of them coming through right now from other countries, straight killers.
Yeah.
They released a bunch out of the prisons and this and that. Now they're like millions in our country.
There's some truth to it for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hard part too, is because you got to weave through it and find like the ones that really do want to be here and the ones that kind of want to just like fuck around,
Yeah.
Maybe that could be like something that you do. You can work out with the government, maybe, you can fast track people that, need it,
I run across a ton of good families that just want to work.
Yeah.
They're not knuckleheads. They got dealt a bad hand and they're trying to get over here. And here's another thing, like legally, the people I work with will legally get over here. And then once they're here, they're like, they don't have any family, don't have any money, they don't have any connections. So that's something I'm trying to do is start. The easiest thing for me was silk screening, like Bad Boy Industry up in LA. You heard of them?
Yeah, Bad Boy. Yep.
So they started like with ex-cons printing shirts, and then it exploded. Now that's really big, but just to give people opportunity for work or housing. So that's possibly the next step that's going to happen. So
that's a good idea, dude. Yeah. So, what's funny too is because whenever you see an influx of immigrants, there's always like there's a few of them that learn a trade and then they teach it to a bunch of other ones, and then you see them take over that industry.
There you go.
Like with the Cambodians, it was donut shops. I don't know if you've been to a donut shop. It's always Cambodian run. The Vietnamese, it was with nails, So maybe the future will be with Mexicans and like silk printing,
Yeah, because they work. That's weird you know that. And how many of those dry cleaners or donuts, they're crushing it on the donuts, right? They're making money.
Yep. And then Middle Easterns and 7-Elevens, bro.
Yeah.
It's actually a funny story about that too with the Vietnamese. I know with the Vietnamese, it was because some movie star like taught like 30 Vietnamese ladies how to do nails, like that were refugees, and then they went and they taught like hundreds, and then now that industry is like just taken over by Vietnamese.
What up? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a cool documentary on YouTube, dude. I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you, Mo.
It's just interesting to watch, dude. I like seeing stuff like that.
Right? I love that stuff. Just yeah.
Rabbit holes, dude. Rabbit holes. Yeah, dude, that's incredible though, dude. Like, I mean, one day, if I got the time, I want to come down. I'd love to come down and just check it out, dude, and see what you're doing, dude.
It's an eye opener.
Sounds like an adventure, bro.
It's an eye opener. It's so cool. Like a lot of people. I'm not saying this about you, but a lot of people have like, hey, I want to go. And then when it comes down to it, they'll see a story in the news or whatever. Like now, El Chapo's son through the
Cartels or
the Sinaloa.
Yeah,
set this other head gab from Sinaloa. It's just a big mess. I'm waiting for it to pop off down there.
Yeah,
because it's going to get ugly here pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't want to go for that part.
I
want to go for the regular.
Yeah, so we'll just go in there and feed some kids and beat it.
Yeah,
and beat it. I'll make a PG-13.
Hey,
so
you're the
don't
hero, bro.
do nothing.
I'm just a storyteller.
Yeah. That would be so cool, Mo. We could go down and shoot a cool video.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even if not, it'd be an honor for you to go with me.
Yeah,
Go down there
yeah.
and
I would
check
love
out
to,
some
bro.
of these
Like,
tips.
I mean, my mom's from Mexico, and I go there
Yeah.
from time to time, and dude, it's tough, dude.
Yeah.
And coming out here, you sometimes it's good to go out there and see that regularly because it makes you really appreciate how life is over here. Because life is hard for everyone, but there's people that have it harder, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to be reminded of that. You got to get that humility, you know. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, so
I made a thing a couple months ago because initially when I first started, and I was grateful for it, people would give me their old clothes for donations. And I was cool with it. I'm like, oh, now I got something to take. But I got to a point where you really, I didn't know the stories behind these kids, why some of these kids are there and what's been done to them and this and that. It's really bad. It's really heartbreaking. So a couple months back ago, I prayed into this. I'm like, I don't want any used clothes. I go, all I want is new stuff for these kids. Maybe like 6 months ago. All I want is new shoes, new clothes, whatever for these kids because they're God's kids. They've been put through it. And like, just that's what I threw out there. And since then, like 2 days after that, all I've been getting is new clothes, new shoes. Like people hunt me down at church. They're like, hey, I got like, they'll just give me boxes of shoes, like all brand new stuff with tags and this and that. And I was like, wow. So it's been really cool because I send a lot of stuff to the Philippines. I send it all over, but I send a lot of stuff to the Philippines as well. So they get like new clothes over there, and there's all these little poor kids with no shoes at all. So it's really been cool, that one. So everyone's been sowing or pouring into this ministry. Thank you.
have you gone to like the Philippines and other countries to see what it's like over there?
I was doing a lot of this orphanage stuff, whatever if that's what you call it, ministry in Romania, Eastern Bloc over there. I was doing a ton over there. I need to go to the Philippines. I just haven't had the time to go. I've been praying into that Lord will open up the door so I can get over there. But the gentleman who's over there right now, George, who's running that whole thing, is doing an amazing job. They had I didn't know there was a typhoon, but now they had a super typhoon. I'm like, wow, this must be something crazy. So it just destroyed the place. So we're in the process of sending them some stuff over there, but I need to get to the Philippines.
They have those all the time, dude.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's common.
I'm like, bro, yeah.
Yeah,
I just destroyed that place.
Yeah, we're used to California where it's like we always worries about earthquakes, and the earthquakes aren't even that bad.
We're spoiled over here. We are spoiled.
There's an earthquake, I think, like last Friday. And my coworker asked me about it. I didn't even feel it.
Here at home?
Yeah, there was like I think on Friday or Thursday.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
I didn't even hear about that.
Pretty wild. All right, Todd. Like I'd love to hear more of this ministry stuff, and we could totally circle back. But we're gonna kind of. I know I probably should have kept in chronological order.
No.
We don't even care here. We just talk and we just BS, dude.
It.
I like to try to make it like we're just hanging out, dude. I don't want to make it a formal interview or I'm just lining up these questions, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm going to jump back a little bit, dude, to your fight career, dude, because I read something interesting about you. One of your first martial arts was Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
And Jeet Kune Do is like not a very common fighting style even today. So I can imagine back in the 90s, it was even probably more rare.
For real.
Than it is today. What got you interested in Jeet Kune Do?
A friend of mine, it's just one of those things I was just lucky to fall into. A friend of a friend I met, we started working together. He's like, hey, you want to start training? Because at the time I was probably like, this is before UFC.
Yeah.
I was probably like 280, whatever.
Wow.
And he was showing me, he's like, but big guys don't know how to fight. Like, really know how to fight. And he was just showing me some stuff. And I was like, wow, because it's a lot of knees, elbows, headbutts. It's a very violent art. And now I don't even know if you found a school, it'd probably be in somebody's garage or like somebody rents space out of a studio or academy, because it's not self-defense. It's just beating people up is all it is. But it's Bruce Lee's martial art, JKD. It's just anything that works, kind of thing. But again, it's a lot of Filipino martial arts, but Wing Chun. It's good for like an actual street fight. Like in the UFC, it wouldn't work so much. Some of it does, but some of it doesn't. So no haters out there. But I'm a firm believer in it. But I was just so happened to fall into that, and he started training me. He was an instructor, but the gentleman who trained me for my first UFC 5, Kenny Gabrielson, was a full instructor in it. So he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he was a full instructor in JKD.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It was really good.
It's very rare at that for even today, by today's standards, to have those two arts like, intermixed. Right.
It's just my whole fight career was just I was able to connect and get plugged in and be blessed to have like the best coaches of what I needed at that time. And it worked out really well. But it's a really good martial art. Yeah, I love it. If you have like it's kind of a younger man's martial art because again, it's a lot of knees, elbows, headbutts, and you get banged up a little bit just learning it. But like anybody, a dad that's sending your kids to college or something like that, it would be something cool to know, especially your daughter. Because I train a ton of daughters before they go to college. Dads hit me up. They're like, "Hey, my daughter's going to college. Can you help her and show her some stuff?" And in and of itself, like kickboxing, Thai fighting, like that's if your daughter knows Thai fighting or whatever, your child or you, if somebody comes to try to attack you, you're just going to beat the brakes off of them. So like pretty much not every martial art, but most martial arts will work in that. But it's a good martial art.
Knowing a little bit of martial arts will take you a long way in the general population. You know,
Right?
most people can't throw a punch. You know, it's like the action of throwing a punch is like everyone can do it, but to throw a clean punch is very rare. So you know, if you know just the basics, you could defend yourself around a lot of people. So long as there's no weapons.
Yeah, no weapons.
I'm not an advocate of martial arts and weapons. You know, back in the 90s, there's always like knife disarms, gun disarms. Oh, dude.
Bro, nah, you're going to get it.
I would just run, dude.
Yeah.
Even against a bigger guy, dude. You know, if a dude's like 260, I'm like, I mean, I could fight, but I'm good, dude. I'm running.
If you could just leave, just leave. Yeah. Just leave.
Yeah, I think the most effective thing you could teach a young woman, though, is the kicks of the grind, dude.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The kicks, I got kneed in the nuts in training last week. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It just reminded me on how bad that feels, you know?
Bro, talking about it. It's good because you have to close that distance at one point. And even if you don't know anything, if you're not going to go to a school or academy to learn, and just practice a knee here and there because it works, or a kick.
Yeah,
you know, different ranges and just run it up the middle and you're good.
Run it up the middle, man. You'll be all right. Some good advice from Todd Medina right there, bro.
Goodness.
Clip that out, you know?
Goodness.
All right. So you trained Jeet Kune Do, and I'm assuming this guy was under Carlson too, or no?
No, he was under, I believe, Helson Gracie.
Okay.
That's who he got his black belt from. And then his full instructor he got from Paul Vunak. And he was like one of the original JKD guys. But like, he was just like, to get a full instructor in that, you got to be a bad dude. Cause it like, you take, just learning it, you take beatings.
Yeah.
You know? I remember just leaving that place sometimes, and it was out of a garage. So I got ready for UFC 5 in a 2-car garage. And I'm grateful for it. I'm so grateful for that. It's good. It's like, and he was a fire chief, fire captain. And so I got to I did a lot of training in the fire department, the firehouse too. Yeah. So that was cool.
Firemen are muscular, so that they know how to work out, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
The fire department, those guys are so cool.
Yeah.
Those guys are the coolest.
Nobody hates the fire department.
Right?
I like the police though sometimes. Nah, I mean, you know, we don't hate the police, but just some, you know.
No, yeah, but the fire department, those guys are the coolest.
Yeah, always, dude.
Yeah, I can't say nothing. Yeah, like you said, you can say nothing bad about somebody in the fire department.
They're just helpful, man.
Yeah.
All right, so what got you introduced to Carlson? How did that work out?
Like way back. Unfortunately, my first coach, Kenny Gabrielson, one of his kids got cancer. So we weren't training as much, which I understand. But I had a Brazilian staying at at my house around that same time, and he knew Vitor. And I wasn't training with kids. Yeah. Vitor was 16 at the time. It's like, I got a friend up in LA who's real good. Let's go roll with him. So we went up there and I took a private with Vitor, and he showed me some stuff. I was like, wow, this is good. And he could, like, Vitor was Vitor. Like, he could move.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. So we made that connection. It was the first time I met him. We got along. Everything was cool. And I hadn't seen him for a while. A couple years later, I was on the first Vale Tudo fight in Japan. I was there. Carson had 2 guys, Belige and I can't remember who the second was. That'll come back. But I'd met Carson once or twice before then too. So I knew Vitor, and I met Carson once or twice. But I fought one of Carson's nemesis. Can't remember the team they were on. But anyway, I beat the guy, and then Carson was just loving me because I beat one of the guys that Carson didn't get along with.
Yeah.
So he's like, you can come train with us now and this and that. And I was like, you serious? And he's like, yeah, up in LA. When you get back, come and train with us. So I immediately, as soon as we got back, I went up there, and nobody was training Americans like that. You know, like really training them. Back in the day, they were afraid they were going to train Americans and then do what we do. You know, they would take it and really train. Wouldn't be smoking weed all day. Not that you smoke weed, that's your thing, cool. But nobody was really training Americans like that to fight. So I went up there and it was a little bit standoffish, but Vitor stuck up for me. He's like, no, I trained Todd. He's cool, this and that or whatever. So Carson's like, okay, come on. So I was the first American on Carson's team. So I was up there like 5-6 days a week training with those guys. I just took I remember walking on the mat, just getting spanked. And I think I was a blue belt at the time. I fought in the UFC. But like what they were doing, I've never seen before. I'm like, what is this? I thought I was doing jiu-jitsu until I ran by you guys. So I just stayed close to him. And then he just kept showing me and teaching me and showing me and teaching me. Even when there wasn't class, I was up there, he was showing me and teaching me because he saw the hunger I had for it. Okay. So I was able to connect with him. They were up in LA. I was down in Orange County. So I was really fortunate to make that. And like this whole fight career, everything I've done has been super cool because my job was in Newport, but they needed something that delivered up to UCLA Monday through Friday. And so I was getting paid to drive up there. And then as soon as I delivered what I needed to for them, I got to train with Carson. So I was getting paid to drive up, drive back, and train. I was like, it was just weird how it worked out.
Oh, that's coincidence right there.
That was like 5 years I got to do that, getting paid to train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so you would go and then you just on your lunch would train with them? Or
yeah. So I would drive up there. It was a blood specimen thing. I would drop off the blood at UCLA, and then I was off. And I'd go train with Carson, but they would pay me for going up and going back.
Oh,
I was like,
so it just worked out. So
I'm
at the end of your shift, you could just do whatever.
Yeah, I could do whatever. And I was like 2 blocks away from Carson. The whole thing worked out really crazy.
Wow, that's wild, bro.
It was really good.
Meant to be, dude.
Yeah.
Divine intervention or something.
Yeah,
bro.
it really was. It was so cool. And then then after I got on the team, I really got along with everybody. Carlos Bejedo, that was the other one in Japan. It was Valigian Carlos or Carlone. Yeah, I got along with everybody, and I was like Vitor's. Him and Rodrigo Medeiros. There was people flew in all the time to train, but it was us three that were the main training partners. So I got I got money training for years.
Yeah,
it was so good. I got the best training on the planet. And then like Amaury would fly in, Carlone would fly in. Yeah, it was just really, really good.
Damn, that's cool. All right, so you're training with them, and then you started fighting in Japan.
Yeah.
So I saw like another interview you did back in the day, and you're talking about how a long time ago the whole point of getting in the UFC was so that your name could get out there to fight in Japan.
Yeah,
because that's where they were paying.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like now it's like a switch. Now everyone wants to join the UFC, so they join these other organizations to get known to go in the UFC.
Yeah.
But yeah, take me back to that. I mean, what was how was fighting in Japan, and what was the difference between there and America?
It was different. Like you hit that right on the head. You wanted to fight here so you could fight over there. That was the main thing because they paid you a lot more and they paid you in cash.
Nice.
I did a podcast with Chris Brennan maybe 2 years ago. And he was the first guy that I've seen that did this correctly. You would get done fighting in Japan. They would go back to your hotel room later that night and you would sit at a table like this and they would get your money and just push it across the table. There you go. And you're like, my guy. So you would make a lot more money. They would pay you in cash. It was good. It was like you would go to Japan and fight and be a complete superstar. Like Jordan would be here or Tyson would be here. And then you could come home and just live like a normal life and then go back over there and just be like, oh, crazy. Do commercials or, fight, do all the stuff. It was really cool. So that was the experience. So I was able to do that, go over there every 6 weeks or whatever it was, get there. Then in Japan kind of stemmed off. I was able to go to Australia, and I spent a lot of time in the Eastern Bloc, like Russia, Romania, and over there a bunch fighting. So it just opened up doors. But the main thing, I like you with this in the podcast, keep your eyes on the prize. You in a year, there's going to be like you're going to explode.
Yeah.
But I just always kept my eyes on Japan. I want to fight in Japan. What are you going to do? I'm going to fight in Japan. I would just say it and get it. Boom, boom, boom. Sure enough, they called. I was like, let's go.
So when you started fighting in Japan, were you just like, I did it? What's next?
Yeah, I did. Then I was like, oh shoot, now what do I do? Because that was all I was ever thinking about, fighting in Japan. I got the call to go fight in M1, which is a big deal. Fedor's belt.
Yeah, you're the only American, I think, that got that belt, right?
So that, like, still to this day,
ever,
forever. Like, I'm the only American with the M1 heavyweight belt. Like, to fathom that, like, after that fight, I was like, I'm done. I'm cool. I didn't, but I that was it. I remember winning that because I went over there and they were such an overdog, or I was such an underdog, and it was Mafia ran and everybody was betting against me, and it was like in a Rocky movie. My warm up, where they put me to warm up, was an old bathroom, and it was nasty. It was so nasty. It was
Salmonella.
broken, and it was all nasty on the walls, and there was one light. It was just like in the movies, swinging back and forth, and there was water dripping through it, and it was like 30 degrees. I'm like, how do I even, like, I'm like, bro, but I'm like, I got to make the best of this because, you know, they didn't call anybody else. They called me to go do this. So we're supposed to be the last fight of the night because it's the title fight and this and that, and it's about halfway through the card. They go, hey, okay, you're up. I'm like, what do you mean I'm up? I don't have my stuff on there. You got 2 minutes to get ready or you're going to forfeit the fight.
Yeah.
Like, what? So I just start throwing stuff on. I'm like, wow.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
So didn't even warm up.
No, you can do nothing. Just get your stuff on. We're going to go. I'm like, what? So I did it, ran out there, boom, boom, boom. I had to put that guy away 3 times in one fight.
That's crazy.
I'm like, after the first time,
That's
it was like maybe,
stuff, huh?
you know, like I was like, yeah, you know, yeah.
That's not healthy for that guy, bro.
I'm like, bro, but like that goes to show you that could never, ever, ever happen. Not even in a movie that couldn't happen. But when the mafia is running it, they run it, and there's a lot of money on the fight. But I had to put the guy away 3 times, and they gave me the strap, and I got a little nervous after the fight because they weren't happy about it. So I
just booked it.
I'm like, I'm out. I got to go.
Did it ever ask you to defend it or anything?
No, and that was the strangest thing. They would let that belt leave the country. Yeah, they're going to let you take the belt to the United States, and we're not going to try to get you to come back. I'm like, okay.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
And the next event they had my teammate from Carson, Carlon Bejedo, who on paper should have smoked that guy, and he lost. So I don't know if that was redemption enough for them that somebody on the same team lost. So, but
did he lose or did he lose?
You know what? That's a good one. Yeah. I gotta look into that.
Yeah. They could have been like, we're gonna make this dude lose.
Yeah, for real. Because they do like I don't know. Like I've been to so many fights where I got food poisoning in Japan when I fought Vanderlei. So they do things on purpose to mess you up, like put me in that.
You're saying like the organization gave you food poisoning? Mm-hmm. Oh, because I heard that story, but I just thought it was like, the place you went to go eat.
Yeah, no.
Cook it good,
yeah, no, they served it to me. It was a turkey sandwich.
Damn, dirty.
Yeah. I got so sick on that. Right when I got off the plane, they at the time they had a picture of me. I don't even know where they got this picture right before my son was born. I was like so out of shape because I was like just not training very much, and I was just eating, hanging out with him. It was right after he was born. Hanging out with him. And so when I got off the plane, at that time, I really trained like crazy. I was jacked. But they ended up taking my passport. They go, hey, we need your passport. So something fishy was going to happen at that fight. I don't know what.
But that was in Japan with Vanderlei?
It was in
Russia.
Russia. Japan, Pride put that fight together. And whoever won that fight with Vanderlei and I was going to start making the big bucks.
Yeah. So
even though I had food poisoning, I'm like, I at least got to try.
Yeah.
And and I ended up when I took that fight, or from that fight, I got a crack that goes down my face. So it goes behind my eye and down my face.
They see you didn't poop your pants.
That's what. Yeah,
it happens sometimes, bro.
This is good, right,
dude? I remember I saw a female in UFC. Actually, she I don't want to say her name, put her business out there, but so it could have been worse, right? Yeah. You never got that rematch with Vanderlei either, huh?
I tried so bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll fight for cheap. I'll fight free. I'll pay him. Whatever. They go, no. It was just meant to be.
Is he like actually a mean guy? He seems kind of like a mean guy, dude, just from watching tape on him.
Yeah. Like, just, hopefully he's mellowed out by now. But that almost, that whole team, shoebox. Yeah. They were like that. So maybe that was something they were supposed to be, or it was just kind of bred into them, or I don't know what. Because I trained a little bit at that gym, not with them, but when I went to Brazil for that fight. And it just seems like maybe they just didn't like me. I don't know. But a lot of those guys were like that. Teaches his own.
Yeah, I just asked because you know how sometimes people get like a persona like for the fight thing, and then sometimes the league will try to make you, especially back in the day, they liked like the badasses type dudes. So I was always like, is this really how he is? And maybe he's really nice outside of this world,
That's how he is. Yeah.
Yeah, them Brazilians, man. It's a tough world,
bro. Especially back then. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very different what it is. Now I'm happy because these guys are making, or some of them are making some money. So good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Vanderlei has that gym in Vegas, right? Is it still around?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still out. He's out here doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
I like to see guys that have like been in a while, still in it, making money, not really struggling. And there's
It's hard.
so many guys. I'm sure you've seen. I know you've seen that have stayed in it and struggling and beat up one too many times. And
yeah, that's the thing. That actually gets brought up a lot on this podcast. Is CT,
Yeah,
it's sad to see, especially because from when I first started watching UFC, it was like 10-ish years ago. So now you're starting to see like those effects start hitting people.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's sad, but I think the new generation is getting a lot smarter with it, and you're seeing the training kind of change. You still see some gyms that are a little kind of old school and train really hard all the time,
Yeah.
But I think the conversation's out there now, and more people are aware that you got to pick and choose when to go hard, Yeah. I'm a proponent on it. I love hard sparring. It's fun, dude, but it's not going to be fun in 20 years, unless you're lucky and, it doesn't affect you. But I heard you talk about this story of this guy, Rudy from Ecuador. Dude, can you unpack this? Like, how'd you even meet this guy? You met him at the gym?
I met him through Chemo. He was one of Chemo's, ran in his group. And I don't know how I ended up getting him in the UFC. We all kind of used to go to church together in this or whatever. Maybe because he didn't train. So he came up to me. He's like, and this is one of those times. So you could, I guess there's steps now getting people in the UFC because there's more people and there's the state behind them and commission. But he was like, hey, Todd, you got to get me in the UFC. Can you do it? He goes, I'm the Ecuador, like essentially the UFC champ in Ecuador. I'm like, okay, cool. So I call Art Davey back then. I'm, hey, Art, can you get this guy in? He's like, I told him, he's like, Ecuador champ and da-da-da-da-da. He's like, okay. So we bounced it around for a while and we're talking. And he got in. Obviously he got in. I'm like, okay. So because he was with Chemo's group, I'm just assuming he's training with Chemo every day or whatever they're doing. And then so I ran into him, I don't know, wherever, maybe at church. I'm like, yeah, how's training going? Like, oh, pretty good. I put in like 3 hours today on whatever it was, Xbox or some sort of fight game or whatever on the thing. I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's like, no, that's how I train is by doing that. I'm like, bro, tell me you're joking right now. He's like, no, that's how I train. I'm like, now I know why you asked me to get you in the UFC and not Chemo. So I'm like, bro. So that got out. It wasn't through me, but that got out how he was training. Maybe through Chemo. I don't even know how it got out. So he's like, were you going to work my corner for me? And I'm like, oh, man. So I show up. And right when we get to the hotel, we get off the plane, go to the hotel, and John McCarthy's there. He's like, Toddy, come here, bro. And I'm like, and I knew what it was about. He's like, I hear this guy you manage. And I'm like, I don't manage him. I just made a phone call for Art to get him in the UFC. And he's like, this guy doesn't train. He's playing video games and stuff. I'm like, bro, please, John, just stop it quick. Just stop it quick.
Stop it quick.
Because Tank was on that card. I'm like, if he matches up with Tank, Tank's going to just like, it's going to put his fist through this kid's skull. And I'm like, I apologize. I don't know what to do. I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he was cool with me. We're making a joke about it, but I'm like, just please stop it fast. It's like, okay. So it gets, we go and they draw everybody up and he gets Pat Smith. Pat Smith.
I don't think
Pat Smith?
No,
Pat. Yeah, he wasn't in yet.
Yeah, I don't think he was in there yet. He's kickboxing still at that time, I think.
Yeah, this was maybe like UFC 8, maybe. I don't even know. It was under 10. So which I'm so grateful that he didn't get Tank.
Yeah,
like Tank, they knew each other, and Tank just wanted to hurt this guy.
Oh man.
So I'm working his corner. I'm behind him. I'm like, man, just keep your hands up and just try to go to the ground because Pat was a kickboxer, a good kickboxer. So Pat comes flying across the ring and just front kicks this guy. And like I'm standing here at the cage, just boom back into me. And he touched him up a little bit, didn't hurt him. And then, so it got stopped early.
Yeah.
That whole thing, I was like, bro, don't ever do that to me again. Because then he wanted me to get him in Japan and this and that.
Why?
Like, bro, I'm not getting you in nothing. Just get out of here.
Bro?
And he wasn't, here's what it is, Mo. He wasn't even the Ecuador, like UFC champ.
I can imagine.
He wasn't anything. He just typed up this letter and said this and this. I'm like, all right, cool. Sounds good.
It's a little delusional.
I'm like, who wants, like, I would never want to do that. It wasn't at that point, whether it was UFC 8 or 10, it wasn't quite no rules anymore, but it was still bad enough I wouldn't get in there.
Even today, if you don't have any skills, bro,
you're just going to get
dangerous.
beat. Yeah. You get the brakes beat off you.
Dude, did you just not have any self-awareness or you just never went to the gym, so you never got tested, bro?
For real.
Dude, that's the problem, bro,
Mo. Yeah. Never got tested. Because I was like,
but at any point where you're just like, hey, let's see what you got, bro. Hold let me hold mitts for you or
Yeah,
something, you know?
something. And he's like, I don't know.
So, but you said he was one of, who'd you say, Kenny?
Chemo.
Chemo's guys?
Yeah.
So Chemo wasn't like, hey, bro, this guy doesn't even
No,
like,
and I
fight or
don't.
anything.
Maybe Chemo didn't even know at the time, like what was going on, like that I was doing it, and
man.
then
That's
got out or
crazy,
whatever.
dude.
I need to hit Chemo up about that. 'Cause that's a good question. That's
a
another good
story,
question,
bro.
Mo. That's another good question, Mo.
I wonder how many people like back in the day got into UFC that didn't have the credentials to get in there.
For real.
You think it was more people than just that guy?
Yeah. There was I know like 4 or 5.
Because now it's a lot different. Now it's like you got to rise up from like LFA or like Up Next, like one of these more smaller local shows, you know.
Right.
And then after you become a champion there, then they'll start looking at you, you know. So you got to already beat like some good guys before you get to that level, you know.
Yeah, it's not picking up the phone and calling Dana and saying, "Hey, Dana, can you get my boy in?"
No,
it doesn't work anymore.
Well, actually, thinking of these YouTube fights, that you brought it up. You know what it says, right? We got that Jake Paul, and he did have that wrestler come on.
Oh,
remember, what's that wrestler's dude? He's a WWE guy.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. He had like 2 fights, I think, lost both.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then they also had the Power Ranger guy, who kind of did know how to fight a little bit.
Yeah,
it does happen, I guess, but not on that level.
Yeah.
Damn, that kid,
cool.
dude.
That's crazy cool.
You ever keep in contact with that kid? You know what happened to him?
No, I don't know what happened to Rudy.
You didn't get mad or anything for wasting your time?
No, I was just super grateful that he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Because that would have made me look bad. It would have made the UFC look bad. So no, I see him around, or maybe after that I saw him around a little bit, but I think he got embarrassed of what happened and just kind of started backing off. But right after, he's like, "Hey, can you get me to Japan now since I've been in the UFC?" I'm like, "Bro, I ain't getting you in nothing." I did that for Joe Son once, and that backfired on me. So I was just telling this story earlier. He got caught trying to get some weed over to Japan. Yeah. So it got cut off, can't go back. So a couple of years goes by, and I had a really good relationship with Japan. It's like, "Hey, Toddy, can you get me a fight in Japan?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I get on the phone and smooth things over and this and that. So, and same thing. I didn't know Joe was doing drugs. So he misses his flight. He's just being a knucklehead. He wasn't training with me. I just kind of helped him get in. And then missed his flight. And I had some guys on that card anyway, so I just so happened to be over there. And right before that, after I got him in the fight, he's like, "Oh, I don't need your help anymore. I'm good." I'm like, "Whatever, Joe." But he shows up in Japan and got him a flight the same day. So he shows up like a couple hours before the event. And I'm on the other side warming my guys up, and they're like, somebody comes and gets me. They go, "Hey, Joe needs your help." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So I go over there, and it's the time he's walking out to the cage, the ring.
Yeah.
And he's got makeup all over his face. He's got this leopard G-string on. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I don't have a mouthpiece." I'm like, "What are you telling me for, bro?" So anyway, I ran somewhere and got him a mouthpiece, and he's up there, and I don't even know if that's on YouTube, but that's got to be a funny fight. He loses in probably like 30 seconds or something.
So he was strung out when he fought, or what? Yeah. Man, what a gangster though, to just want to fight without being strung out.
So some of these guys that don't train or all on drugs or whatever, it was such a different time back then.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so different what you could get away with. Most of the time, I never fought with a cup or a mouthpiece. I would walk to the cage. I go, "You get a cup on?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got your mouthpiece?" I'm like, "I'm good." They're like, "Okay, have a good time."
Hell yeah.
So
that's some manly shit right there.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like wearing cups, and I should be wearing a mouthpiece more.
Cup is kind of important, though.
Yeah.
They're both actually pretty important.
Very important. At the end of the day, they're very important. I was just like, I'm uncomfortable with it. So they're like, "Oh, cool, whatever, Toddy, run it."
Yeah, the new cups are pretty tight, too, dude. The Diamond Cup is a sick cup. They got a bunch of cool stuff nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
Mouth guards, they're all right, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, have you been to Japan since you fought there? Like, just to visit or anything?
No, I've been, I went once, 2 or 3 times with some guys, like working their corner, but I haven't been recent. It's not the same as what it was back in the day. There was big, huge fights, and there was fights all the time. Like if you had a gym, you could just keep, I mean, if they're good, you could keep those guys just active like all the time. You could spend so much time in Japan, but it's not what it used to be. Since Pride went down, it just kind of changed things. Pancrase is still going, but they're really not pushing it how they used to.
Got Ryzen out there too. You know?
That's a good
One
organization.
does a lot of stuff
One's
out
where
there.
it's at.
I love One, dude.
Right?
I like that they do all the sports, and then they'll have crossovers like that Mighty Mouse with Rotang.
Right?
I really like that, dude.
Yeah, that's a good organization. Anybody can get in that one. That'd probably be some. They got paper.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they pay. From what I heard, they pay way better than UFC, supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the organization right now.
Yeah, and then I like that they put a lot of free fights too.
Right.
I think like every Friday it's free fights. I think
should be able to.
Yeah. Dude, we're broke, bro. Inflation, dog.
Bro,
Can't be paying these pay-per-views,
fighters
dog.
don't make until you get up there, and even then, like you should not be a professional athlete, a professional fighter, and fight on Saturday night and have to go back to work Monday morning.
Terrible.
You should not. That should be, especially when you're fighting on TV. Should not fight on TV Saturday night and be like, hey, Monday morning I'm back at work. Should not be like that.
Yeah, especially because at that level, that guy's trying to put you in the hospital, dude.
Right?
You know what I mean? It's not like on the amateur level where it's, not to talk about amateurs or anything, but I'm just saying at the pro level, it's just, you're there to hurt someone,
Yeah.
That's like you live that life, and to go to and it kind of waters down the sports because the sport in general, because if you're busy with work and doing all these other things outside the sport, you're not training, not recovering, so you're not seeing the best version of yourself, That
was so good. You're not recovering.
Gotta recover, baby.
Yeah.
Recovery's important.
Most people don't know that. Try to go. You gotta recover. Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of sleep, dog.
Right? Yeah.
Sleep, dog.
Get that sleep.
Especially in today's modern times, bro. They just sleep is like not almost a necessity, or they assume it's not a necessity. They want to work you and all this stuff, bro.
About that.
Well, yeah, all right. So that Ecuador, that was a cool story. Yeah, I heard you kind of talk about that story a little bit. I was like, dude, I want to hear more about the story. It's super interesting,
That opened up a lot of eyes right there.
Yeah, dude. So your last fight was around COVID?
Yeah, right.
About 2 years ago
when COVID started, or right around then. It was boxing. So somebody said if I'd got like 10 fights, I didn't even have to win, just do well because of my MMA record, my name, that I could get bigger fights in Vegas, making like money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so I took a fight. I got a boxing match in Mexico just to see if I still wanted to fight. Like you get in there and you still like want to get it. So I ran a mediocre fight camp, nothing too crazy, just because I didn't want to like kill myself getting ready for it and then get to the ring and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I did, and man, I wanted it more than ever. As soon as I got in the ring, I'm like, oh, I got how this feels and how this smells and all this stuff. So I won that fight, and then I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. And then COVID, just nothing worked out too well. COVID happened and this and that. Nobody was getting fights, and training went down. So that was that. But it was fun. Got to end everything on boxing in Mexico.
Yeah, COVID fucked a lot of shit up, bro.
Man, right?
Dude, especially for the gym culture and stuff, dude. No fights, no training, no interaction with people.
Yeah, nothing.
Dude.
Yeah, messed the whole thing up.
Training with your doors locked.
Yeah.
And it was only like a select, like the inner group of the gym, you had to like kind of bounce up people. I kind of felt bad because, some of us were able to train and some of us weren't. Almost felt like guilty,
Oh, goodness. Yeah. They put paper over the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, just the select few were able to train. Crazy.
Yeah, it was not good for business too. I mean, I kept paying my fees, dude. I told Coach, I was like, hey, I'm gonna keep paying because I want these doors to be open once we open up, and hopefully everyone else does because that rent ain't gonna stop,
Yeah.
So I know a lot of good gyms got closed down because of COVID,
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, good gyms too.
That was like the most un-American thing to ever happen, bro. That was kind of like communist, bro.
Hey.
I was like, geez, what's going on here? I'm Asian, bro. My dad comes from a communist country, I was like, this is kind of pushing freedom right here.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, so now you're doing the whole TikTok boxing instructional, right? Dude, I checked your TikTok out because I kept hearing people talk about it, and I was like, bro, this dude's got like, how many? You got like 1 million followers, I think, right?
No, I'm like, I think like 500,000.
500,000, okay.
But this is, my son told me right same time when COVID was starting to pop off. It's like, Dad, get on this TikTok thing. I'm like, okay. And so I did it, and it went well. And I haven't been like, I need to jump back on that because it was cool helping so many people. Like that helps. Like I would stay on that thing for hours, just going down and answering questions. People are like, wow, I don't know how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Answering, so much. I just because it was so cool to help people. But that TikTok, I definitely love the TikTok.
That's like a full-time job, dude.
That's a thing.
Dude, if you're going to like post stuff regularly, dude.
Yeah. That's probably why I haven't been doing it lately. Because like you say, it's full-time.
Yeah.
And I was able to, not really, but kind of through that, be one of the coaches for YouTube versus TikTok.
All that.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
That was it, to experience that. That was really cool. we went to the fight. It was at a stadium in Florida. I don't remember which one, wherever they play football at. So we're back there, and there's like all celebrities and rappers and this and that. And one of my guys that's with us, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna prayer, so do prayer before everybody walks out." And at the time, I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm wondering who's gonna do it," because there's big names back there. And he's like, "No, you're gonna do it." Everybody's like standing around, kind of looking. And next thing you know, I was able to pray in front of all those people. It was a really cool experience. But with that said, yeah, but TikTok's like, it's really opened up a lot of doors. I met some really cool people, and it's a good way to get out there in the community and stuff. One of the main things that I get hit up on TikTok is guys that don't know how to fight, like boyfriends, dads. They'll hit me up and be like, "Hey, my wife or my chick thinks I know how to fight, and I don't know how to throw a baseball, bro. What do I do self-defense?" And I'm like, "What?" That just I can't wrap my head around that. Like you're talking about earlier, everybody can punch, but can you throw like a correct punch?
Yeah.
Or more importantly, can you move out of the way of a punch? So just to be able to help people is really cool. Yeah. Actually, maybe this will probably spark it back up.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about stuff like TikTok and IG is like your reach becomes like just endless, dude. Because you can talk to people on the other side of the planet, and teach them stuff and whatever, spit some game.
Yeah, Mo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a good and a bad thing, dude, because I mean, you can get addicted to that just like you can get addicted to like alcohol or anything else,
Yep.
So, just like alcohol is a good and bad thing. It can be good for social interactions, but then when it's time to not be social, you gotta put down the booze.
Put it down, bro.
When it's time to put down the TikTok, you gotta put down the TikTok.
Bro.
But I think that's cool. And I think it's incredible because it's like it just shows that you're able to adapt to this new age and this new way of training and doing things.
All the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you're young mind, dude.
It's crazy.
And you still seem sharp too, dude. For like all the wars and everything that you've gone through.
I've been some battles and some wars. So I'm so grateful for that because there's some guys that started fighting like 10 or 15 years after I did.
Yeah.
That like, what happened to you? They're like beat up.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I think it just shows, bro, because people think of fighters as like these brutes, but it's actually the intelligent fighters are the ones that do better, and do better even outside the sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's bro.
Speaking of like headbutts, though, I just sparked my memory. I saw one of your fights. I can't remember who it was against, but it was like a black guy in was it in UFC?
Yeah.
But you were like headbutting him.
Yeah.
You took him to I think he was a kickboxer or a taekwondo guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't really catch your headbutting until the fight was over. They started replaying it, and you had him mounted, and you're like headbutting his chin or something.
Yeah. I don't even know how I don't even know where that came from. I mean, we headbutt a lot in JKD, but it's primarily standing up and this and that. I don't even know why. I have no idea. But I'm being straight honest with you why I did that. We went to a lunch before I got into the UFC with Art Davey. And Art's like, "How are you going to win the fights?" Whatever. Like, and I don't even know why this came out of my mouth. I go, "I'm going to headbutt a bunch." I'm like, what? And it did. And it was like, at the time, it was the most headbutts, still is the most headbutts given in the UFC and it's the world record for headbutts.
Ever.
And I was like, bro, I don't even know. And the majority of them are not good. So if you're looking for clean headbutts, again, I wasn't training them on the ground. So to give a correct headbutt that you haven't trained on the ground is easier said than done. But I just went ham with the headbutts.
Yeah. But they were good short headbutts though, and because they're like you remained in control, and it was kind of like those slap punches, but with your head, which is a harder
thing.
And you're doing it on his chin too. So
I was like, boom. Because when we got in there, I'm like, he was the Larry Kirton. He was the super
the
super heavyweight kickbox champ of the I just boom. Thank you for saying that. This guy was a super heavyweight kickbox champ of the world. I'm like, bro, this guy's gonna kick my head out of the cage. Like, we're going to go down with this. I got to slow this guy down quick. I think he outweighed me by 30 pounds. He's
a big guy.
That was a big dude.
You were a big guy too, but dude, he was a big guy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got a good memory, Mo.
You got a better memory, dude. I remember bits and pieces. That's how my brain works, like sporadic, just enough to bring it up and then let it go, dude. But
good, bro.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say something too. I just lost it. That memory's gone. See, it's sporadic, bro.
This is real podcast right here. This is real talk. Not everything just comes out.
This is how I like it, dude. Like I said, I write stuff down and I try to get them in chronological order, but I just let the conversation go, dude. So if you talk about something at the beginning of your life and then you jump to the end of your life or whatever, and then we start filling stuff in between, that's cool, But
I'm a big fan of the Quentin Tarantino movies because it's the same thing.
Sporadic,
right? It goes back and forth. Boom, boom, boom. I love those movies.
He might have ADHD, dude.
I wouldn't doubt it, right? I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Sucker.
I like how he puts himself in like a lot of his movies, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some ballsy stuff, right?
That guy, yeah. Got mad love for that guy. He makes good film.
Isn't he? I think he's gonna make like one more movie, right? Because he only wanted to do 10 movies. So I think I think he's on like 7 or 8 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Man, I love that guy's movies. To get on another movie, did you see Passion of the Christ?
Nah, well, I did, but it was like, it came out when 2008.
A minute ago.
Yeah. I saw it, but not recently.
They made a part 2 of that, which is going to come out. That was supposed to come out this Easter, but I guess not so much. That movie's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mel Gibson. Yeah, the new Passion of the Christ is really good.
Okay, yeah, dude, Mel Gibson's getting a lot of like hate lately, dude. You see that? I read that he started like a new like media company because he was hard for him to get work because they're kind of like blackballing him for like some of his. I don't even know what he said because I don't really pay attention to pop culture, you know.
Yeah.
But apparently he's did or said something, and so people haven't wanted to work with them. So him and like 3 people started like their own media company. They're gonna start filming their own movies now.
Yeah, in Vegas.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's cool, bro. I like having options, and I do hate how a lot of like what you see on TV now comes from like a specific group of people that push a certain ideology. I'm not right or a Republican or liberal, you know. I kind of don't really care about politics and that. I could talk about it because it happens, but
I'm with you.
Talk about policy, baby, not party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good, Mo.
Dude, there's stuff that Trump says that I could get behind, and there's
some stuff
stuff Biden's not much because Biden hasn't been saying much, but when he says stuff that makes sense.
Oh, goodness.
You know, lately, I don't even know what's up with that guy. He's just kind of, I low-key been telling my friends one day I'm going to run for president because I think I could do a better job than these guys, dude.
Good.
So you'll see Todd one day, bro.
You know, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go, Todd. Yeah, Todd. So, I mean, so you said you got 2 kids, right?
Yeah, I got a son and a daughter. Daughter's in college. Son, he used to fight. Started at 16, I think, was his first fight. Undefeated. I want to say he's got like 5 or 6 fights. He was like getting all fired up about it, and that's not the life I wanted for him. I'm like, you got to pump the brakes with that. So he didn't give me too much heat about it. Then he got into like computers, SEO, advertising, and stuff like that. And he's 26 and he's crushing it now. Yeah, so he's got like doing really well. So
that's a big jump, dude.
Yeah, I'm
happy from fighting to computers, you know.
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, you know, it's funny is I was gonna ask my next question if they were into the fight world, and you kind of just jumped to it.
Yeah, that one.
He wants to think alike, dog.
Yeah, because he was born in it. Like he spent, like I got pictures of him and Carson Gracie when he was little, like still in diapers. So like he's always been around it. So it's been pretty cool. We'd go to other fights or other gyms or just wherever it'd be, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, that, you know, as a little kid, he's doing that wrong, right?" Gosh, cool it. Because that was one of Carson's thing way back in the day when they had instructionals on DVD for all this YouTube stuff. Carson, he'd be like, "I'm going to show this move," and I'm like, "You told us not to show that move. How are you doing it?" But he would like leave some things out or kind of switch some stuff or whatever. It would still work, but not how it should have or whatever. So it was just kind of funny that my son got to hang out with Carson, kid, learning all this stuff.
It's interesting that you said how on the DVDs they would leave stuff out because I hear stuff like that for other people that are putting on instructionals. And I just feel like the culture's changed now to where it's like a lot of people are trying to actually show you what it is for free. They're not even charging, you know?
Yeah.
If you go, even like you with your boxing thing, you know? I think that's cool. I think it's a cool evolution in the way people have been thinking and changing their thoughts towards martial arts. Because ultimately that's what like perpetuates growth, bro.
Right.
You got to show them everything you know so they can take it and they can make something new from that, you know?
That's my thing, because like all this time I got to spend traveling the world, and most all of it I got paid to travel to learn all this crazy stuff. And like I tell my students or whoever when I'm on TikTok or IG or whatever, like if I know it, I'll give it to you, you know, because it's only going to make you that much better. So I make the best version of you as we can. So like I'm big on that, showing whatever. That's cool. You would say that, Mo.
Yeah, dude.
And you think like that. That's good.
It's cool that you think like that, dude.
Hey, man.
Because that's why you see the growth in the sport, bro. You look at the UFC fighters, these guys that are coming in that are on the undercards now, they're savages. It's like no holes in their game. And it's because they grow up from that, like from a young age, seeing proper technique on the internet for free. They go to the gym, they work on it, you know, and they just constantly are around just good technique, you know, and just good culture too, bro.
Right.
And culture's been changing.
It's from what it was when I was fighting to what it is now, like you say, Mo. I'm like, goodness. Back in the day, you could get away with just being tough. I mean, you need to know some stuff. You just need to be tough. Now, if you don't have them put together, you're getting the brake speed off you.
Yeah.
So you hit that right on the head.
All right.
And like I say again, the gentlemen, the fighters you've had on this couch, but you got some monsters on here.
Dude, yeah, some of those guys are crazy, dude. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to my guests.
Yeah, everybody's been on this show with Mo. I'm looking forward to watching them put the belt on you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, out of all your injuries, which injury do you think was like the worst injury?
The one I got from Vanderlei, because the crack goes down my face. The doctor, and I went to so many different doctors when I got back home. And right after that fight, I flew, which wasn't the best thing to do. They said you can't do that because of the pressure, and it even messed it up more. So I got home and I went to all these different specialists and doctors, and they're like, I can't fix that. What do you want me to do? So I found one guy in San Diego, who Paul Gomez took me. Shout out to Paul Gomez from Hurley and Bob Hurley. Love you guys. And he's like, okay, so here's the deal, because there's nerve damage and some stuff. I can fix it, but if you get in another fight, and I can't fix it anymore, it's just going to be destroyed. I'm like, just leave it. And it's been good. But for 1 year, when I woke up, I had to sleep in a dark room, and I'd have to crack the door, open it a little bit more. It took like an hour because I was seeing in threes. It was so bad. My eye, that sometimes the nerves would get caught on the crack in there, and it would pull, and it hurt like crazy. So it took like years and years for that to heal, and it healed up correctly.
Yeah,
I have no idea how it did, but it healed up correctly. Like I can shoot real good with it. My shots are still real clean. Like with a firearm, my shots are still good with wrestling. But that one was for sure the worst. Like way back in the day before I first started fighting, the Kung Fu guys showed me dit dao. They made me a special dit dao. Showed me how to punch trees and walls and block walls and this and that. So my hands are like crazy strong, like stupid dense. I've never had a hand broken, and I fought a bunch of times with no gloves on, no rules, and bare knuckle boxing. All my fingers have been broken, one of my thumbs, but my hands from punching have never been broken.
Damn.
So that's one injury I'm grateful that I've never had, is breaking a hand. I punch block walls all day long. Cool.
That's old school Kung Fu.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting that anybody do that.
Yeah. Unless you plan on fighting bare knuckle or something.
Yeah, if that's going to be your career, but and my hands don't even hurt. It's crazy. For all these years, my hands don't hurt.
Yeah.
It's how I came out of this, I don't want to say unscathed, but not so bad.
Yeah.
Fighting for no rules for so many years and everything else I've done.
Yeah, no, even your cauliflower isn't that bad compared to other guys, dude.
Right.
You only got it on 1 year? Or?
A little bit on the other side, but nothing too crazy.
I always tell people, if you can wear an AirPod, it's not that bad.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I think you can wear an AirPod, right?
Yeah. It hurts a little bit, but yeah, I can wear it, so I'm good. Some of the guys these days, I'm like, bro, yours are really jacked.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you get it that bad.
I heard that it was like a genetic thing. Like some people are just more prone to getting cauliflower, and some people will never get it. Kind of same thing with the CT thing, from what we understand.
Yeah. I feel bad for some of those guys that really never put too much time in. Yeah. They got CT.
This is the gym. Whatever. It's the gym wars, dude.
Yeah.
Some guys have like 1-2 fights, but then they've been having wars at the gym for like 10 years, Yeah.
Listen, gentlemen, or ladies. That's one thing too. Like I'm cool with it, but I'm not a big fan of women fighting, because I hate to see them like all jacked up and beat up, but train smart.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't hate it. It's cool. I like seeing good female fights. Good. You know what I mean? Because, dude, I feel like there's some females in the UFC, I feel like they kind of just allowed some females in just because they wanted to fill that roster,
Yeah.
But then you'll see some, like Shevchenko, dude. She's a savage, dude. Yeah. And then, what was that chick that just retired? She's the boogie woman. I can't remember her name. I think she's some type of European. She was a savage, dude. I mean, Cyborg's fighting again soon. You ever meet Cyborg?
Yeah.
She seems like an intense person too, dude.
I got to help her get ready for Toronto fight. Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, was that in Strikeforce?
Strikeforce.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Thank you.
For not being 40 years old, you know a lot of stuff, Mo.
I'm just a fan of the game, dude.
Yeah. Cyborg, she's sweet. That's a sweet, like we were talking earlier. Yeah, she's nice.
Good. I'm glad.
Whatever, like she might have to be tough in the cage or whatever, but she's a believer. She's sold out for the Lord too. She's a sweet person. But like that, if you're going to go in and like train properly and this and that, cool, run it. But it's sad to see some of these girls just get beat up, and you're like, man.
Especially when they're pretty, bro.
That's what you know.
You're like, damn, you can be doing. Like, what's that chick's name? Tracy Cortez.
Yeah.
Oh man, she's a little hottie, bro. I'm like, oh, dude, could just make money off Instagram or something.
Yeah, don't get punched in the face no more.
Hey, but I respect it, bro. Follow your dreams. I'm not gonna sit here and tell ladies what they can and can't do. I got 2 sisters. I would like them to not fight ever, but if they wanted to fight, I'd want to be there training them and helping them out.
Yeah, as long as you're training right. I do not want to see these girls get beat up.
Yeah, you got a daughter too, right? So I'm sure it's like you got that father.
Yeah.
Like feeling tugging at your heart. When you see that, like that's someone's daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Todd, you got anything else you want to add? Anything coming up? Anything you want to shout out?
I would love to. I appreciate everybody's time. I thank you for this opportunity. Again, I'm grateful for where the Lord has taken me from to where He's taken me to, and the greater things He has in store for me. And anyone that doesn't know the Lord, I'm just going to throw this out here real quick. If you want to change your life for the better, if you want to take yourself out of that bad situation you're at, and you think there's no way you could do it, He can do it with you. He can do it for you, but you just got to let Him do it. You have to get out of the way. There's no accident I'm here. There's no accident I'm here with Mo right now, and he gave me this opportunity. But He will and He can change your life. So all you need to do is say, Jesus, thank you for dying on the cross for my sins. Please take the pen out of my hands and rewrite the story of my life. And thank Him and just talk to Him and pray to Him every day. If you don't know how to pray, it's okay. Just talk to Him like He's your dad, He's your father, because He loves you and He's going to change your life for the better. If you need help with any of this, finding a church, how to pray, I don't care what it is. If you're having a bad day, you got a drug problem, or you got that covered too. If just all the above, you can hit me up on probably IG would be the best, and we'll get after it. But I got love for you. I got love for Mo. And if you're in a bad spot, life will and can get better, but you just got to give Jesus the opportunity to get in there and fix it for you. So blessings to you, blessings to your family, and blessings to who you do life with.
There you go, guys. You heard it first. Todd Medina, El Tiburon. Thank you for coming on, dude. I'll put his IG in the bio. I don't know if you want to shout it out in
it's verbally. Right. It's Todd Medina MMA.
Todd Medina
MMA. And TikTok is the Fight Coach.
The Fight Coach. Yeah, check him out. And I'll also add his foundation. I think you can take donations and stuff sure. On your thing, right?
Thank you. It's Champion Factory Ministry.org. And we do like all the money goes to the kids. I shoot as much video as I can. I don't post it as much as I can, but maybe now that I know Mo, you can help me a little bit.
I got you, Todd. Anything I can do to help, brother?
But it's for a good cause. It really is. Like we're down there in the trenches, boots on the ground, like really taking care of little kids, feeding them, clothing them, all this stuff. So if you want to be a part of that, thank you very much. And those that are going to watch us that already help us, you know the story, you know the get down, you know what we've been doing every week. So I thank you, but just praises and blessings to all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mo.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.